This problem tells us that the principal took a group of students out to lunch. If the lunch was $38 and she gave a 15% tip, how much did she spend on lunch? In this problem and in this video, we're going to look at 3 different really useful strategies to help you solve problems such as this. The first is to create a proportion table. And this looks like a square with lines in the middle, sort of like a window. And on the side of this proportion table, for the 2 rows, we're going to label them part and whole, because that's what a percent is. It's a part of a whole. And in the first column, on the upper left at the top, we're going to put down percent, because this is a percent tip that we're asked to find. And we're going to put a dollar sign in the second column, because we're looking for a number that is specifically money. Here we're talking about money, the amount that the principal spent on the lunch and the amount of tip that she needs to find. Now let's take the numbers from the problem that go with this. The whole of a percent in the bottom left is 100. And the part, in this case, is 15. 15 out of 100. That's the percent tip. And we can see that the whole price of the meal is $38. What we don't know here is the price of the tip, and that's what we're going to find out. So that's the proportion table. From that, we can go ahead and build a proportion like we have over here on the right now. 15 hundredths equals x over 38. To solve this problem, we can use cross multiplication. We're going to multiply 15 times 38 and then divide it by 100. So let's use a second tool that's a helpful tool for us to use when we're multiplying double-digit or triple-digit numbers, and that is the lattice method, which begins by looking like one of the window figures that we use to create a proportion table to begin with. But we're going to add diagonal lines across each one of these squares, and we can write the number across the top, 15, and to the side we'll write down 38. This is a way to help us organize our multiplying and adding of numbers when we're multiplying bigger numbers, double-digit and triple-digit and quadruple-digit numbers for that matter. Here, 5 times 3 is 1 10 and 5 ones. And 5 times 8 is 40, 4 tens and 0 ones. 1 times 3 is 3, 0 tens, 3 ones. 1 times 8 is 8, 0 tens and 8 ones. And now our multiplication is done. And now we can do our addition, our adding up of our different columns. And over here, this is the ones column, 0, plus nothing else. In the tens column, we have these numbers along the diagonal. 8 plus 4 is 12, plus 5 is 17. So we can put down 7 tens, and then we can put a 1 in the hundreds column. In the hundreds column, which is this one over here going diagonally, we have 3, 1, and 1. 3 plus 1 is 5. And then 0 in the thousands column. So 15 times 38 equals 570. And now we need to divide this by 100. And let's clear off the table that we used over there for the lattice method and clear some space for ourselves and look at how we can divide 570 by 100. Now, we could go ahead and use long division, go ahead and make this sort of house-like looking figure and multiply by each 570 by 100, or divide that rather. But there's another strategy that we can use that's a little bit easier. And so we're going to look at place value. This is the third strategy that we're going to use to help us solve this problem. Here is 570. So 5 hundredths, 7 tens, and 0 ones. So let's look at this a little bit. If we took and multiplied this by 10, what we would be doing is taking and moving the decimal point 1 place to the right, and we can add a 0 there. So the 5 that was 5 hundredths is now 5 thousandths, and the 7 that was 7 tenths is now 7 hundredths. What we've done is multiplied by 10 and moved over the decimal in 1 place. Because our place value system, our number system, is based upon powers of 10, to go from the ones place to the tens place, we multiply by 10. And from the tens place to the hundreds place, we multiply by 10 as well. From the hundreds to the thousands is also multiplication by 10. And likewise, if we want to divide, like if we want to take 570 divided by 10, we move the decimal in the other direction, to the left. So here in this case, 570 divided by 10, the 5 was originally 500s, and now it becomes 510s when we move the decimal over one place to the left. And if we're dividing by 100, which is what this problem asks us to do, we go ahead and take and move the decimal 2 places over to the left. So the number 5 was originally 100, and now it's 5 ones. And the solution, therefore, to this particular unknown here, we were asked to find 15% of the tip, is $5.70. That is what X is. That's the tip. So again, the question says, the principal took a group of students out to lunch. If the lunch was $38 and she gave a 15% tip, how much did she spend on lunch? We know now that the 15% tip is $5.70. What we have to do to finish the problem is to add it to the cost of the meal. $38, that's how much the meal cost. So the restaurant says, here's what it costs for the food, for the cooks to cook it, and for the cost of the restaurant, and we need to pay the waiter or the waitress $5.70 for all the work that they have been doing. And to add that together, we get $43.70. And that's the answer to how much did the principal spend on lunch. So a lot of different steps involved in this process and in this problem, but you've learned 3 useful strategies today to be able to solve things. One is creating a proportion table. Secondly, we talked about using the lattice method that looks sort of like the proportion table, except it has the diagonal lines, and we use that and then erase that. And then the third strategy that we talked about was place value, and how if we're dividing by 10, we can move the decimal over one place in a number, and if we're dividing by 100, we move the decimal over 2 places to the left. So go ahead and watch this video another time, and when you're ready, go ahead and try the practice problem that is grouped with this problem on the homework quiz for this week.